I tell you what, that was a good decision on his part. Okay. As soon as we get a distance for the hog, we'll let you know, and there should be Mark Stamps out of Newmarket, Iowa, coming up.
Now they're talking about safety equipment over there, and half those pullers haven't worn any safety equipment, and they gotta have it.
Lori, do you have a distance for me?
Most of them ain't wearing their cars. I just want you to know. All right. Gary Cavanaugh, current points leader and defending points champion in the class. The red Edge 2 comes out of Laurel, Nebraska. Just came roaring down the track here. Had to beat 305 and change. Too much radio traffic. There's too much radio traffic. I'm not getting the distance.
Again, some of our great sponsors here this weekend. A Concrete, Benchmark, Cannon Car Wash, Canal, Elevation Lifting, High Country Beverage, Independent Financial, PCL Construction, PDC Energy, Pepsi.
All right, that was Mark Stamps with the Troublemaker out of Newmarket, Iowa. He's number 3 in the points race this year.
Yep, and they knew the crowd liked that, Fred. They thought that was all right. Rain Dance National Golf Course, they're one of our sponsors here. They're right next door. For those of you.
Please.
RMS Cranes, the Water Valley Company, Wagner Cat, United Rentals. So thank you so much for all your support of the Rocky Mountain Nationals Truck and Tractor Pull.
I need a distance for the hog and for Mark Stamps Troublemaker.
Troublemaker with 308.27. Big thanks to Schaefer Oil and Specialized Lubricants to make your equipment last longer and run stronger. Check out SchaeferOil.com. Schaefer Oil been doing their thing since 1839. That may be our audio.
There's 2 types of drivers out there.
Okay, folks.
Drivers who know how to protect their investment and drivers who don't. Car owners who know how to get more miles per gallon and owners who don't. We're talking people who know their Schaefer and people who don't. Which one are you? From cars to trucks to diesel workhorses, whatever you drive, there's a Schaefer synthetic oil for you. Do you know your Schaefer? Ask for it at an automotive retailer near you.
Okay, folks, here's how it's landed up. Troublemaker, your last truck out went 308.27. Tater truck, 2, or the Tater wagon, 2, went 287.13. Number 3, the hog of Brent Danks went 241.48. Number 4, the Dirt and Terminator, 336.96. Number 5, Burning the Midnight Oil at 235.87. The Dude went 225.66. Attitude Adjustment went 215.92. So that's how they ended up in the Pro 4x4 pickup class. Ron Stone, thanks for getting the numbers for me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We've got a lot of radio traffic going on in our ears here, a lot of stuff going on in the staging areas. On the 3,200 RPM Superfield class, Gary Cavanaugh, the points leader in the class, just took the lead at 312.49. Still have a couple tractors yet to go. Casey Asmus, the Deer Cruiser, on deck, and Jason Sweeter will be the last puller in the class. VP Racing Fuels, the spec fuel of the Outlaws. Each and every one of these vehicles going down this track, burning VP Racing Fuels. Check them out at vpracingfuels.com. RPM limit. If someone has, they'll go back and specify that puller, and they'll actually be disqualified.
We got the technology to do that kind of stuff today. So Pro Field, and it's a class, again, I enjoy the limited light super stocks. I love this class because that's where we started.
Well, here it comes, one out of your home state. Casey Asmus out of Hoskins, Nebraska, the Deer Cruiser. A lot of bouncing going on. That's a good run in John Deere right there. He's got a couple of wins this season.
Doesn't typically bounce like that, out just north of Norfolk.
People have to quit talking on top of people. I don't know. About 259, 260 is what the reading is. That's 300 marker.
This is a seed bag. This bag is made of craft
Frosted
paper
Frog
with a
coolers
cellophane
and
liner.
tumblers. Frosted Frog.
Excuse me, 70. They've got probably 8 or 9 weights.
Had to beat 312.49. The points leader, Gary Cavanaugh, was sitting out front at that mark. Jason Sweeter goes 313.7 for the win in this 3,200 RPM class. So give me the final rundown here in just a moment, but give Jason Sweeter a round of applause. So Gordon Messbergen will go 5th, and 4th is Casey Asmus, the Deer Cruiser. Number 3 spot, Jacob McCullough with the Asylum. Number 2 is Gary Cavanaugh, Red Edge 2. Number 1, Jason Sweeter and the Demonstrator out of Lenox, South Dakota.
Well, I got over the top of run there. Did not see. We're having a little trouble seeing down there at the start line on each track. But as what I was mentioning, that Kevin was getting ready for the 7,400-pound modified tractors, and they could get upwards of 6,000 horsepower. Now, the first one out here, they've got probably 8 or 9 weights in that sled. First tractor up is out of Lindsay, Texas. And this guy right now, I think, sitting number 5 in the points race with the Outlaws for 2022. Now, that is a Rolls-Royce Griffin. What is it, Ron? 2,200 and some cubic inches.
2,240 cubic inches. 2,240 cubes.
Yep. Tractor come out of Iowa. Doug got it. He made some changes. Now, he and I was talking about timing and stuff that he's made on the tractor. Plans are that we're going to see some exhaust-driven turbochargers on this thing.
Yeah, that's what he's been talking about. But this is the only Griffin-powered pulling tractor in the country right here. The engine came off of fighter aircraft, Spitfire fighter aircraft from World War II in England, and also off the Shackleford bombers in World War II. So you're seeing 1940s vintage horsepower right here. Crank-driven supercharger on the front, 2,240 cubic inches. These have 4 valves per cylinder as well.
Yeah. He is running a set of the new Pro Polar tires. To give you an idea, I talked about the spin. Now, these guys could get up to 35, 40 mile an hour with an 80 mile an hour tire speed. He has only about an 1/8 lug because I measured it this afternoon. So here we go. First out, Doug Vate out of Lindsay, Texas. Griffin Growl, 7,400-pound modifieds. All right. We know something went wrong on that.
I think early on, now talking to Wayne Longnecker a couple of weeks back, the spitting and coughing it was doing initially, he thinks that was the rev limiter. Yeah, the rev limiter was kicking in, trying to keep the engine from over revving initially, and then not sure what happened after that. It really pulled that big V12 motor down. A lot of bite out there in that track. It's surprising me even here. When we came in here yesterday, the track crew went to work, Kevin Bauer and Ryan Boyson, and they've been working nonstop on this track since yesterday morning.
All right, if I got this right, 238 and 25. Again, we got a lot of traffic on the radio this afternoon, so 238. Okay, got the word. He did turn it down, which I figured he would do.
He's going to change sled settings.
All right. So the man turned the pole down, if I understand right. We're going to tweak the sled just a touch. You see that box coming out, folks. That's what it's all about down there.
Yeah,
now
the box on the sled, like you were just alluding to there, Fred, the box is what has the majority of the weight in it, all that movable weight, and it goes from a rolling weight to a dragging weight gradually the further they go down the track.
Now, what he's doing, I'm not sure. If he went up in the front of the rails, he would be moving a micro switch that changes when the back of that pan falls down. We haven't talked about sled operation. So if there's 10,000 pounds in that box, when it's clear back over the axles, there's hardly any weight on that skid. Watch that when these 7,400 pounds mods go out, folks. They'll pick that skid up and it will come back down. Then the weight is being driven up the rails, and there is a fulcrum point that it pushes down on that skid. So as that 10,000 pounds comes up, it might be 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 15, whatever. Once it gets over that fulcrum, now it starts multiplying that weight. That's how we transfer so much weight. And then at a certain point, you'll see the back of that skid drop. Underneath that skid is grouser bars. So that is not just a plain smooth pan, folks. There's stuff under there digging dirt. So that is where we're at with that. Okay, Kevin says bring him up. So next up is going to be Kent Urban with the stud mule out of Osceola. Now, Ron, I didn't talk to Kent on what he's got for the engines. Is he running Minor Brothers?
I believe they are Minor Brothers Hemis. I didn't look real close, but I'm pretty sure that they are.
Yeah, that's
the Minor Brothers was the reincarnation of the Aries Hemi. Yeah. It was real popular back in the 80s. And
I think even the Fontana motors were a lot like that. So the tuner that's coming up.
One way we can tell is the distributor's on the left side, on the driver's side.
Okay. So, yeah, this man knows that. So we'll ask Ron that. Now, he's coming up with a pair of them. These guys can run 2 Hemis, which means hemispherical cylinder head, so they can run 2 of them with 1471.
Current points leader in this light limited pro stock class, Mike Mason Brink, an inches matter out of Gretna, Nebraska. Mike Mason Brink. Now let me reiterate what I just said there. He is not the current points leader. He's like a half point behind the leader, Brady Gosler, but he's had the points lead for quite a while. Mike Mason Brink coming out of Gretna, Nebraska. 318.83 feet, 318.83 for Mike Mason break.
All right, this is a new tractor. Now, Kent Urban that is driving this thing, if he's actually on there, this guy is quite the tuner. If any of you folks that follow NTPA, he works on Wayne Purser's 5 and 6 engine mod. If any of you guys have ever heard of Connie Coletta of the drag racing fame, this guy was on the team for several years and traveled with Coletta. Comes out of a community about 40 miles from where I live, out west of Lincoln, Nebraska, and has come back home. And I was at his place about a year ago, and all these parts were laying on the shop floor.
Interesting looking at the motor setup. They're not only side by side, but each engine is tilted at a slight angle outboard, if you noticed on this tractor.
Now, somebody told me the reason for that, and I don't remember what it is now. But there was something physically going on, Ron, that they had to do that the way that the frame and the drivetrain's in it. That's all I know. And I may not be correct on that. This man had quite the pass going in Windsor, which would have been his first hook. Lost the blower drive. So let's see what he can put together out here in Colorado. This is kind of home country for him anyway. He and his brothers, they used to pull out here all the time. So here we go. Let's stud mule. Oh, man, got a hold of him. $217.89 for Kent Urban with the stud mule out of Osceola, Nebraska. So right now, if I'm reading that right, he sets number 2.
Here comes Jim Darnell, the crazy horse out of Scottsbluff, Nebraska.
Okay. Now, we were talking about being able to run engine with 2 engines with hemispherical heads. Okay, won a distance of 302 and 32, I believe. Okay, corrected. 302 and 02 for him. The other combinations that we can run, folks, is like the aircraft engine, the Griffin that we were talking about. You can run Allison. You can run 3 Chevrolets if they're wedge motors, again with the 1471 blower, which was a blower used on 2-cycle General Motors truck engines years and years ago. And the one that we're bringing up right now is we allow the T55, L11, and 7412 Lycoming turbine diesel engines. So next up, the yellow one sitting down there is out of Melville, Nebraska, with Kyle Patch. He sits right now, I think, number 6 in points behind the Griffin Growl. This young man is a young gun. It's my grandson out of Melford, Nebraska. So this is probably his 7th or 8th hook. With this, it's T55 out of a Chinook helicopter rated at 3,700 and 50 horsepower. It's typically what they are set at. So he would be next up now. He'll come up a little short compared to the Stud Mule or the Cotton Candy. He's going to be a good 1,500 horsepower behind those guys. Outlaws allowed them to go to 2 engines finally a couple years ago. I wanted to do it before that. So we didn't do much pulling last couple years, but he's just 16, Ron. So we thought, let's ease into this deal.
Yeah, now this is your grandson out of Milford, Nebraska.
Yeah.
He's been pulling. It's his rookie season. He's done a great job, Fred. He's done a great job, and he's really went into the mold of being a tractor puller here. He's really fallen into that role, and he's enjoying it. I see his Facebook posts and such. and he's having a great time. Kyle Stepanek, the Toxic International out of Minnow, South Dakota. You talk about what came in like, I think this kind of ground here. Bonick trying to climb the hill there, the Toxic tractor. .317.46 for Kyle Stepanek. 317 and 46. He'll move into the number 2 spot. Mike Masonbrink in the lead at 318.83. This light limited pro stock division over here on the east side, 466 cubic inch limit. They run one turbocharger, 3 inches on the intake side of the turbocharger, water injection, and 24.5 inch wide tires for this light limited pro stock division.
Okay. I think he was having trouble getting the gear, so he has to shut the engine off and start completely over because the N2, it's kind of like wind being blown through a windmill. And he was trying to get it in gear, and he lost the N2, so the N2 was wanting to run. It's like trying to shift into gear without stepping in on the clutch. So he's got it now. Dad is running up there. Kyle's been pulling since 16. Okay, chain is tight. T55, Lycoming out of a Chinook helicopter. They were running a pair of them. So he's running a Scotia over 4,000 horsepower. So let's see what he can do here. He's running an old-style tire. It's got a lot of lug on it. He's putting a lot of dirt into the sled, but again, we're learning. This tractor was a points champ back in 2009 and 10. We didn't make any changes, and you can see all the automotive guys passed us up by 70 feet. So 16 years old. He talked Dad out of school, talked him to go out of school to come out here this weekend. Okay, got DQ.
We talked about that white line earlier, Fred, and it comes up on you fast, fans. You seem like, the steering wheel really does nothing on these tractors. We're on these big rear tires. We're driving it with the rear brakes to get that, but sometimes they get locked into the ground and they can't do much there. So
that stinks. He had a good run going. I was excited for him, and I saw him getting close to that chalk, and he actually pulled back on the throttle a little bit and was probably feathering that right brake to try to keep it in bounds. They steer these tractors with the rear brakes when the wheels are in the air. They had individual rear wheel brakes. And unfortunately, he got in the chalk. That's disqualification.
Like Ron was mentioning, that rear brake. So if the tractor's going left and you want to go right, you press on your right brake to slow that right tire down so that left tire is spinning faster, and it will bring you back to the left. But with that much horsepower and torque, they just sometimes get a mind of their own. So, Ron, here we got a light limited pro coming. But we'll get a chance to do our second attempt here. Again, some of our great local sponsors here of the Rocky Mountain Nationals Truck and Tractor Pull: A Concrete, Benchmark, Cannon Car Wash, Connell, Elevation Lifting, Driveway Animation. Excuse me, I read the whole video there. Elevation Lifting, a High Country Beverage, Independent Financial Logo, PCL Construction, PDC Energy, Pepsi, Rain Ranch National Golf Course, RMS Cranes, the Water Valley Company, United Rentals, Wagner Cat, and ZGL. If you, like I said earlier, if you know any of these owners or the people who work at these companies, you can spend money with them, or you can at least thank them for supporting the Rocky Mountain Nationals Truck and Tractor Pull. Ron, it's fun to see the hillside starting to fill in here on a Friday night. I love
seeing all those people filling in over there. I know we started early on a Friday. It is a holiday weekend, but we're going to have fun here this weekend. A lot of good pulling left to go here today. Jeff Darnell and the Red Rider just made an attempt over here on the east track. Didn't get past the 100-foot mark. We'll give him one more try here. Every puller has that opportunity there. They can, if they feel that they're not going to make a good pass, the tractor's bouncing or the truck's bouncing, maybe they got in the wrong gear, as long as they pull back on the throttle before 100 foot, we'll give them one more shot.
Cameron Neeks, they definitely are doing well with that tractor. New tractor a couple years ago, the cotton farm. Here is Cameron Neves out of McAdoo, Texas. Another pair Well, I tell you what, that's one of the better passes the guys have got in lately. They've been plagued with problems also. The turbine tractor, grandson's big enough that he bent the brake on it and couldn't keep it inbound. 290 and 77, so he absolutely takes the lead. Cameron Neeks, they definitely are doing well with that tractor. New tractor a couple years ago, the cotton farmers out of McAdoo, Texas, up to the north and east of Lubbock, Texas.
A lot of people are curious about how they name some of these tractors and these trucks. Cameron Neves, George Neves, the family that come out of McAdoo, Texas, they're cotton farmers. That's what they do for a living. They grow cotton. They call the tractor cotton candy. They have a two-wheel drive also, and it's called high cotton.
Yep, known those guys for a long time. Went down and visited with them a few times, and it's cotton country.
Current points leader in this light limited pro stock class, Brady Gosler out of Ute, Iowa. John Deere called Spare Time. Oh, he's got to get past Mike Masonbrink, and he's in the lead right now.
Yeah, they're like a half a point or a point and a half apart, Ron. So, hey, real quick, Ron, before you do that distance, if you win the class here today, if you've already polled and you were the class winner, please come to the announcer stand. The Northern Colorado Snap-on dealers donated Snap-on tools to every single class winner. A set of wrenches. So come on up here. If you won a class already, or if you win your class later, you go to the Eco-Tuning trailer. Yep, sign our banner, and then you also get your Snap-on tools, courtesy of the Northern Colorado Snap-on dealers. So, no, over there, Fred, on that mod track, I think it's pulling them left, because we saw Kaysen come left, and we also, we just saw Mr. Neves get off to the left side as well.
A lot of those guys were struggling down in there. I think that's what was going on. They were getting hung up down there almost before 200 feet at that point. We finally got another 7,400-pound mod up. This is going to be, they're telling me he's coming up. I don't see him. Of course, he could be back behind the sled.
Sure don't hear him, and we'll hear him if he's coming.
Nothing's running yet. It should be Greg Urban with Wild Thing out of Fairbury, Nebraska. He's only about 50 miles from me to the south. Has pulled Colorado for years. So any of you folks that followed Colorado tractor pulls, you've probably seen Greg quite a time. He runs a pair of them. Now his brother, Kent, was up here. He was second hook with the stud mule with the twin Minor Brothers.
Those are Aries. I went back and talked to them. They're Aries engines. But
okay.
The Minor Brothers engines they bought the engine design, the architecture, when they built the Minor Brothers racing Hemis. It's kind of a copy of the old Aries. That's the Aries power plant. 10-liter Aries is what
I seen you jump out the door when you went by.
Yeah, I noticed the distributor was on the opposite side of the Minor Brothers motors, and I had to go talk to him. They looked like Aries when I walked by, but I wanted to make sure.
Okay. Now, the thing with Greg is he has the Wild Thing. He was supposed to already hooked. Then Cameron Neves with the cotton candy. He and Dad George, and I'm not sure who's driving the two-wheeler a little later on. But what's going to happen here now, Craig is back-to-back.
Lucas Siebertson out of Manila, Iowa. John Deere calls it Grandpa's Dream.
All right. Here's Greg with the Wild Thing. Now, This has been a tractor he's had running for, long time. And then he's got a second tractor that he purchased a chassis and then is also campaigning that tractor, which he'll probably pull behind this one, I assume, that has a chassis that he purchased that is a late style, what we call Joe Etter. Joe Etter out of New York, builds a lot of chassis and runs with PPL. Joe's been building engines for years. We have purchased a lot of stuff when we built chassis and so forth. So he'll be coming up with that chassis in a little bit. Running a pair of Hemi-style engines here. Greg used to live, I believe, out here in Wiggins, Colorado. Ended up back towards like Gretna, Nebraska. Now he's down in Fairbury and is originally out of Osceola, Nebraska. So he's been a part of Nebraska Tractor Pullers, Colorado Tractor Pullers, and Outlaws. So Greg's been around. He's been around about as long as I have, Ron. So that's been a long time.
Hey, real quick, I got Corey Burchett with me down here on the track. He was the winner. What's it, the Wicked Wagon?
Wicked Wagon.
Where are you from, Corey?
Norris, Montana.
How far is that from here?
About 700 miles.
That's it? Just 700 miles?
Do it in my sleep.
Do it in my sleep. He was a winner of our 4x4 Super Modified class, and he gets to sign our banner. We give those banners away every week on our Outlawed show. A fan gets to win those. And then the Northern Area Snap-on dealers got you some wrenches. So, Corey, good job, buddy. Thank you for coming, and try to do it again tomorrow night. Let's give Corey a big round of applause, everybody. Our 4x4 Super Modified winner.
Here we go, twin Chrysler Hemis. Greg Irby, Wild Thing.
All right. Greg slid it up there. He's over 200. $221 and 07. 221 and 07. Puts him third right now.
Here comes Mike Hargens out of Schleswig, Iowa, the Wild side. Go ahead on your side.
Okay. Distances right now. I got to change a couple things here. Got stuff in the wrong spot. Cameron Neves right now leads us at 290.77. Then followed by Voth, but he did not take that distance. He's going to be come back up. He would have had 238 at that point. Then Kent Urban's at 217 at 89. So right now we have three of them, and then of course Kyle Kason Petch's Thermal Thunder. He DQ'd it, and I didn't get the distance where he DQ'd at.
Over here on the Light Limited Pro side, 313.33 for Mike Hargens, 313.33. Right now, the leader is Mike Masonbrink. Now, he sits number 2 in the points behind Brady Gossler, only like a point and a half behind. But Brady Gossler has already pulled, and he's pulled in at 312 and change. So there's going to be a shakeup at the top of that points ladder after this show here this afternoon.
All right, I'm out here. I got Jacob Ratliff with me. He was the winner of our very first class, the 2.6 diesel trucks with the Outlaw, a truck and tractor pulling Heartland division, the 2.6 diesel truck class. Midnight Express is the name of your truck, right, Jacob?
Yes, sir.
Where are you from, buddy?
Mitchell, Nebraska.
How far is that from here?
About 2.5 hours.
Oh, so that's not that far at all, 2.5 hours.
Not at all.
Anybody you want to thank here tonight?
Thank my brother Jarrett and my pit crew MJ.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Hopefully you can do it again tomorrow night. On behalf of the Northern Area Snap-on dealers, there's some cool wrenches. Hopefully you don't have to use them on your pulling truck, okay? Just use them at home on the lawnmower or something. So thanks, Jacob. Let's give Jacob a big round of applause, everybody. Your winner of your 2.6 diesel truck class.
Yeah, he had a good hook out there, Jason. Anytime you can beat that Lane Aldrich from Excelsior Springs, Missouri, you know you've done a good job out there. That's a tough Dodge pickup.
All right. We are back to Doug Voth. He was your first hook out of Lindsay, Texas on the Griffin Growl. So the Griffin engine, it just was not running right for him on that first pass, not what it can do. So right now he is going to chase after the Cotton Candy out of McAdoo, Texas, right now that leads this 7,400-pound modified class this afternoon here.
The old Griffin having some issues here. Hopefully they can get that figured out before the session tomorrow afternoon. Usually a very strong running tractor. I heard Fred say they were tinkering with the timing a little bit. I think that might be part of the issue. Maybe they can get it figured out.
All right, Doug goes 190 and 72 with the Griffin Growl.
There goes Jeff McCullough, a tractor called Chaotic. $297.15 feet for Jeff McCullough and Chaotic. Only a couple more light limited pros left to go here. Right now, the first puller in the class is still clinging to the lead, 318.83.
Well, right now on the 7,400-pound modified side, I begin waiting for Greg Urban. Get fired up. This is the one that I was talking about, has the different chassis for him for 2022.
Hey, everybody, I got Brett Stamps, the troublemaker.
Graham Tire is your source for American-made Goodyear farm tires featuring Titan LSW technology.
Did you give them $20 a year for you?
LSW tires provide track-like performance, even in adverse conditions.
Probably 30-some years.
So you're like a legend.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
Well, that's what Ron and I call old people.
yeah, that's probably true then.
Let's give Brett a big round of applause here. The winner of our 4x4 Pro Stock class here today. And I hope you don't have to use these on the truck.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, maybe, like I said, a bicycle or a mower, like I told the last guy. But these are from the northern area Snap-on dealers. So, Brett, congratulations. Let's give him a big Colorado round of applause. Thanks, Brett.
With 24-hour tire service and a large selection of used tires and wheels, Graham Tire is committed to keeping you running. Visit www.grahamtire.com to find a location near you.
Here, we're still waiting for Greg Urban with the Get Fired Up tractor. He'll be the last hook right now. Cotton Candy leads us the distance at 290.77. Wild Thing at Greg Urban out of Fairbury at 221.07. Stud Mule of Kent Urban out of Osceola at 217.89. Griffin Gow, Doug Voth, 190 and 72 fourth. Right now, Kyle Kasenpitch sets fifth, 247 with the DQ. So as soon as he gets up here, the thing is, he's got to get one tractor out of here. He had one tractor in between, which would have been Doug with the Griffin Growl. Now he's got to come back around. That's the problem with these guys competing with two vehicles in one class, is this is what the result is. So hopefully he's going to be headed this way.
Yeah, we're turning Brad Zeck loose over here. He comes out of Ravenna, Nebraska, the dark horse, Case IH.
All right. This right here is the new chassis, as I was mentioned about before. Now, you can see his other tractors. I should have mentioned that they are chrome moly 2-inch tube frames.
Brad Zeck with a nice looking hook goes to the right side. I don't think he's going to get as far as the leader.
Brian, watch the clock.
All right. Run over the top of the guys here. Didn't look around the corner. Okay, Greg is moving back, but this old tractor had a pipe frame like what you see on the cage. If you look on the side of this one, that actually is a frame rail that is built like a truck frame rail, but it's in a wedge configuration at this point. Now, the way he's got that set up, he's got one set of throttle horns facing the front of the tractor, and he's got the other set facing the other direction. So these guys do all kinds of combinations. The engine's trying to take away the twist in them. So obviously he's got trouble with reverse, guys.
Yeah, that setup, they feed into the same box right in between the motors. The back motor is actually facing rearward.
Yep.
So the output is coming out the front.
So what they're trying to do there, as Ron mentioned, is they like to twist, and they'll try picking the rear tire up. Well, when it picks the tire up, that side doesn't have traction, and the other one, it starts to move to the side. So what they try to do is cancel that, so they keep both of them rear tires on the ground.
Now, Fred, all that horsepower and all that money, and he's got no reverse.
Yeah, I can see that. I can understand that. One day we had nothing. Yeah. Get this time of year, the equipment starts getting to be worn out.
300.58 feet for Brad Zeck and the dark horse. One tractor to go in the light limited pro division. Keith Keyshaw on the Die Hard Deer out of Ravenna, Nebraska.
All right. My number 6 mod, here we go, out of Nebraska, Greg Urban on the Get Fired Up out of Fairbury. And right now they're having trouble getting it into a forward gear. Know all about that. They use a specially built transmission. Profab is one of them. Matter of fact, it's Profab transmission in the Ironman. That's a twin countershaft built by a specific company. Atlas out of Minnesota is another. And also SCS gear. Okay, here we go. All right, clear to 200. Several of them have been right in front of us. We'll get a distance here on him. .219 and 72. So he goes 2 feet over his brother with the stud mule. So it looks like a great